Hello everyone. I hope you are fit as a fiddle and enjoying your online sessions. So, today we will read the chapter The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand. Mulk Raj Anand is one of the celebrated Indian writers. So, firstly, we will read the paragraph, then after that, I will explain you. So, now let's read the first paragraph. It was the festival of spring. From the wintry shades of narrow lanes and alleys emerged a gaily clad humanity. Some walked, some rode on horses, others sat, being carried in bamboo and bullock carts. One little boy ran between his father's legs, brimming over with his life and laughter. So, through this paragraph, we come to understand that it was the spring season. After the winter season, the people who were in their homes were coming out from the narrow lanes and passages, and they were in a very happy mood. They were wearing a new clothes and moving towards the fair. Some people were going by walking, some people on horses, and some were going by their bullock carts. And as a child who was overjoyed, he also filled with a new life and had a great excitement. Now, in the next paragraph, "Come, child, come," called his parents as he lagged behind, fascinated by the toys in the shops that lined the way. He hurried towards his parents, his feet obedient to their call, his eyes still lingering on the receding toys. As he came to where they had stopped to wait for him, he could not suppress the desire of his heart, even though he well knew the old, cold stare of refusal in their eyes. "I want that toy," he pleaded. His father looked at him red eyed, in his familiar tyrant's way. His mother, melted by the free spirit of the days, was tender and giving him her finger to hold, and said, "Look, child, what is before you." It was a flowering mustard field, pale like melting gold, as it swept across miles and miles of even land. So, it means when the child lagged behind, he was called up by his parents because he was fascinated with all the articles that were placed at the shops. So, as he was an obedient child, so by hearing their call, he joined his parents. He was attracted towards the toy shop. He also requested his parents to buy him a toy, but his parents diverted his attention. His father got angry by his demand, but as his mother, who was soft hearted, diverted his attention by giving her finger to hold and told him to look at the mustard field whose flowers were making the fields gold. So now we will read the next paragraph. A group of dragonflies were bustling about on their gaudy purple wings, intercepting the flight of a lone black bee or butterfly in search of sweetness from the flowers. The child followed them in the air with his gaze till one of them would still its wings and rest, and he would try to catch it, but it would go fluttering, flapping up into the air. When he said almost caught it in his hands, then his mother gave a cautionary call, "Come, child, come on to the footpath." So, in this paragraph, we come to know about the child's situation of mind. He saw that the dragonflies whose wings were of purple color fluttering in the field, and it was creating disruption towards butterflies, black bee, which in search of the collecting sweetness, as you know that it collects the honey from the flowers. So the child got attracted towards it and he totally fascinated and tried to catch one of the butterfly, but as he tried it, it flew away by fluttering and flapping its wings. By looking her son, the mother gave a call or a warning to move fast on footpath. He ran towards his parents gaily and walked abreast. Abreast here means side by side of them for a while, being, however, soon left behind, attracted by the little insects and worms along the footpath that were teeming. Teeming means overflowing out from their hiding places to enjoy the sunshine. Come, child, come, his parents called him from the shade of a grove. Grove, it means a garden where they had been seated themselves on the edge of a well. He ran towards them. A shower of young flowers fell upon the child as he entered the grove, and forgetting his parents, he began to gather the raining petals in his hand. But lo, he heard the cooing. Cooing means a sound which is created by dove, and ran towards his parents, shouting, "The dove, the dove!" The raining petals dropped from his forgotten hands. Come, child, come, they called to the child, who had now gone running in wild capers round the banyan tree, and gathering him up, they took the narrow, winding footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. So, through these lines, we come to know that by hearing their parents' call, he saw towards his parents happily, and he was moving side by side along with them. But being a child, sometimes he left behind, because on the way he was attracted by the little insects and worms who were overflowing, coming out of their hiding places to enjoy sunshine, because of spring season. So then he heard a sound of calling by his parents, who were sitting in a garden. They were sitting on the edge of a well. As he ran towards his parents to that place, he saw a shower of young flowers fell from the tree. At that moment, he forgot his parents and started collecting them. Suddenly, he heard the cooing sound of a dove. When he showed his amazement by telling his parents about the dove sound, he forgot about the petals also. He was again called up by his parents. The child who had been jumping round the banyan tree, so by joining him, they took the narrow footpath which led to the fair through the mustard fields. Now we will read the next paragraph. As they neared the village, the child could see many other footpaths full of throngs. Throngs refers to crowd. Converging means meeting to the whirlpool of the fair. Whirlpool here refers to the center of the fair, and felt at once repelled and fascinated by the confusion of the world he was entering. A sweet made seller hogged gulab jamun, rasagulla, barfi, jalebi at the center of the near entrance, and a crowd pressed round his counter at the foot of an architecture of many colored sweets, decorated with the leaves of silver and gold. The child stared open-eyed. Stared means looking carefully, and his mouth watered for the barfi, and that was his favorite sweet. "I want that barfi," he slowly murmured. But he half knew that as he begged, that his plea here refers to appeal, would not be heeded. Heeded means paid attention, because his parents would say he was greedy. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A flower seller hogged a garland of gulmohar, The child seemed irresistibly drawn. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped, and half murmured, "I want that garland," but he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those, because they would say that they were cheap. So without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So through this paragraph, we come to understand, while moving on their way, as they reached near the village, the child saw all the footpaths which were leading towards the fair were full of the crowd, and these people were moving towards the center of the fair. At this time, he was not only happy but also too much surprised towards that world in which he was entering. So firstly, he saw a shop of a sweetmeat where the seller was hawking about his sweets. By calling all the articles one by one, he decorated them with the leaves of the gold and silver. So when the child looked at Burfi, his mouth watered and whispered about his favorite sweet Burfi, but he knew that his appeal would not be attended. So as he thinking his parents would call him a greedy, so without waiting for an answer, he moved on. So at the fair, then he saw a flower seller. He was hawking for a sale of his garland of gulmohar. The little child, greatly attracted, he went near his basket and spoke in a slow voice, but he knew his parents would not accept because he was assuming that his parents would say that these flowers, these garlands were so cheap. So, without waiting for an answer, he moved with his parents. So now we will read the next paragraph. A flower seller hawked a garland of gulmohar, a garland of gulmohar. The child seemed irresistibly drawn. Irresistibly means greatly attracted. He went towards the basket where the flowers lay heaped and half murmured. Murmured means whispered, I want that garland, but he well knew his parents would refuse to buy him those flowers because they would say that they were cheap. So, without waiting for an answer, he moved on. A man stood holding a pole. Pole here means to stick with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by the rainbow glory of their silken. Silken colors refers to soft colors, and he was filled with the overwhelming. Overwhelming means over excessive, excessive desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys. So he walked on further. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled. Coiled here refers to wriggle itself in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan, while the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. Rippling here refers to motion. The child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse music as the snake charmer played, he proceeded farther. So, through this paragraph, we come to know that on his way he saw a flower seller. He was hawking for the sale of his garland of gulmohar flowers. The little child, greatly attracted towards them, he went near his basket and whispered in a slow voice. And he demanded the one garland for him, but he knew his parents would not accept because he was assuming that they would say it were cheap. So, without waiting for an answer, he moved with his parents. Then, after that, a child saw a balloon seller who was selling balloons of different colors. The child got attracted towards the soft colors. He had a keen desire to get them, but he knew his parents would say that as he was a now grown up, so he need not to play with such things. Then on his way, then he attracted towards a snake charmer, and the snake charmer was playing a flute to attract the audience, and he was also attracted towards him. His eyes caught the sight of a snake charmer playing on a flute to a snake. He was fascinated by the swinging hood of the snake, which was looking like a neck of a swan. But he also knew the psychology, means the state of mind of his parents, that they would not agree for as a non-melodious music of the flute, so he kept on walking with his parents. A man stood holding a pole with yellow, red, green, and purple balloons flying from it. The child was simply carried away by a rainbow glory of their silken colors and was filled with an overwhelming desire to possess them all. But he well knew his parents would never buy him the balloons because they would say he was too old to play with such toys, so he walked on further. A snake charmer stood playing a flute to a snake which coiled. Coiled here refers to wriggle. Wriggle means to make around itself in a basket, its head raised in a graceful bend like the neck of a swan. While the music stole into its invisible ears like the gentle rippling of an invisible waterfall. The child went towards the snake charmer, but knowing his parents had forbidden him to hear such coarse music, the snake charmer played as he proceeded farther. There was a roundabout in a full swing, men, women, and children carried away in a whirling motion shrieked and cried with a dizzy laughter. The child watched them intently and then he made a bold request. I want to go on a roundabout, please, father, mother. Now we will read the next paragraph. There was a roundabout in a full swing. Men, women, and children carried away in a whirling motion, shrieked and cried with dizzy laughter. Dizzy here refers to confused laughter. The child wanted them intently and then he made a bold request. I want to go on the roundabout. Roundabout here refers to a merry-go-round. Please, mother, please, father. There was no reply. He turned to look at his parents. They were not there. Ahead of him, he turned to look on either side. They were not there. He looked behind. There was no sign of them. A full, deep cry rose within his dry throat with a sudden jerk. Jerk means move of his body. He ran from where he stood, crying in a real fear, Mother, Father. Tears rolled down from his eyes, hot and furious. He flushed, means exertion. Face was convulsed with fear. Pain stricken, he ran to one side first, then to other. Hither and thither in all directions. Hither and thither, it is a phrase, it means here and there. Knowing not where to go, mother, father, he wailed. Wailed here means cried. His yellow turban came untied and his clothes became muddy. So, through these paragraphs, we come to understand that when the child saw a roundabout which carried men, women, and children in a whirling motion and cried in a shrill voice, he was totally spellbound by the scene and strongly requested that he wanted to go on that merry round. But his parents did not reply. His parents were ahead of him. He searched here and there but not able to find there. And on realizing that he had lost his parents, the child got confused. He panicked. When he could not spot his parents in the large crowd of people, the tears rolled down his eyes and he ran all over for them. Feeling lonely and afraid, he cried bitterly. His yellow turban untied and his clothes became muddy. So now let's read the next paragraphs. Having run to and fro. To and fro means moving one place to another and back again to that place. In a rage of running for a while, he stood defeated, his cries suppressed into sobs. At little distances on the green grass, he could see through his filmy eyes men and women talking. He tried to look intently among the patches of bright yellow clothes, but there was no sign of his father and mother among those people, who seemed to laugh and talk just for the sake of laughing and talking. So he ran quickly again, this time to a shrine. Shrine means a holy place to which people seemed to be a crowding. Every little inch of the space here was congested with men, but he ran through the people's leg, his little sob lingering, mother, father. Near the entrance to the temple, however, the crowd became very thick. Men jostled. Jostle means to push each other. Heavy men with flashing, murderous eyes and hefty shoulders. Hefty shoulders means heavy shoulders, and the poor child struggled to thrust a way between their feet, but knocked to and fro by their brutal movements. He might have been trampled. Trampled means crushed underfoot had he not shrieked at the highest pitch of his voice, "Mother, father!" A man in the surging crowd heard his cry and, stooping with a great difficulty, lifted him up in his arms. So it means the child ran madly from one place to another in all direction because he was looking for his parents. His eyes searched for his parents everywhere. He wept and sobbed. He saw through tears in his eyes men and the women talking to one another, but he couldn't find his parents. After this, he ran quickly and went to the shrine in search of his parents. There was a great rush. The child got caught between the legs of the crowd and was sobbing and calling his parents like mother, father. He tried to make his way through the feet of the crowd. The child would have been crushed under the foot if a kind man had not lifted him up in his arms. The man steered clear of the mass with a great difficulty and saved the child. Now, let's begin with the next paragraph. How did you get there, child? Whose baby are you? The man asked as he steered clear of the mass. The child wept more bitterly than ever now and only cried, "I want my mother, I want my father." The man tried to soothe him by taking him to the roundabout. "Will you have a ride on a horse?" he gently asked as he approached the ring. The child's throat tore into the thousand shrill sobs, and he only shouted, "I want my mother and I want my father." The man headed towards the place where the snake charmer still played on a flute to the swaying cobra. "Listen to that nice music, child," he played it. But the child shut his ears with his fingers and shouted his double pitched strain, "I want my mother, I want my father." The man took him near the balloons, thinking the bright colors of the balloons would distract the child's attention and quieten him. "Would you like a rainbow colored balloon?" he persuasively asked. The child turned his eyes from the flying balloons and just sobbed, "I want my mother, I want my father." So, through these paragraphs, we come to know that the man was moved by the cries of the child. He picked the child up in his arms and asked him, child, how he had reached there. But the child had only one thing to say, "I want my father, I want my mother." In order to pacify the child, the man firstly took him to the roundabout and asked him to ride. But the child wept bitterly, and by sobbing, he told he wanted his father and he wanted his mother. After that, the man took him to the snake charmer, who was still playing his flute, but he told the little child to listen the sound. But the child shut his ears with his hands and he refused to hear it. Then the man offered him balloons. He refused to take by closing his eyes. Then the man tried to make him happy. He took him to the flower seller. I hope you all are enjoying the reading of this chapter. So now we read the last paragraphs. The man, still trying to make the child happy, bore him to the gate where the flower seller sat. "Look, can you smell those nice flowers, child? Would you like a garland to put around your neck?" The child turned his nose away from the basket and reiterated his sob, I want my father, I want my mother. Thinking to humor. Humor, it refers to amuse. His disconsolate charge buy a gift of sweets, the man took him to the counter of the sweet shop. What sweets would you like to, child? He asked. The child turned his face from the sweet shop and only sobbed, I want my mother, I want my father. So, through these paragraphs, we come to know that when after that, the man tried to make him happy or to make him amuse. So he took him to the flower seller and asked him if he could smell those nice flowers and offer him a garland to wear. But the child turned his nose and expressed his desire to be with his mother and father. But the man was still worried about his sadness, so to make him happy, he took him to the sweetmeat shop and asked him to choose his favorite sweet. But the child asked for his parents only. So, students, I hope you like this chapter very much. So, what lesson we have learned from this story? That we should always obey our parents and we should follow their instructions. They are the best to judge what is good for us. Thank you.